Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Sanch here with my beautiful wife, Chelsea.
What's up?
We're back at you guys with another video. We're excited about this topic. If you are new to this channel or if you're just watching us for the first time, welcome to our channel. Please don't forget to hit subscribe and like this video. You're gonna love what we have to share.
Let's be real. There's some people that are finding they're in a rocky space and they're in a hard space in their marriage and they might be wondering if it's really in trouble. So we're actually going to go through 10 signs today that your marriage might be in some serious trouble.
For those of you who don't know us yet, we actually started this channel a short time ago. We've been passionate about these topics that we share here. So we wanted to start a YouTube channel and share some videos and our wisdom on relationship, marriage, and also being parents. And any topic, any subjects that kind of falls under that umbrella. We've been having a great time just learning and doing these videos and sharing our experiences. We've been married for 18 years now and we have 3 children, and hey, this is one of our biggest passion is relationships, marriage, and how to really make a marriage thrive. So I got my beautiful partner here, Chelsea, and she is going to go through our list. We're going to go through it together, but I'm excited about today's topic.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. This is a little different because if you've been watching some of our first videos we've been doing, it's been a lot more tips for you, tips on how you can improve your marriage. But let's be real, there's some people that are finding they're in a rocky space and they're in a hard space in their marriage and they might be wondering if it's really in trouble. So we're actually going to go through 10 signs today that your marriage might be in some serious trouble. And I want to encourage you, because if some of these pop up, even more than one, and you think, man, that's me, it doesn't mean it's over.
Right.
It doesn't mean you can't come back from it, because marriage is hard. I mean, over 18 years, we've had hard days, hard weeks, hard months, hard years.
Sure.
And it has been us really choosing to keep moving through it. So you can still create something beautiful even if you find some of these, but these could be some clues that you really need to put some attention and focus back into your relationship.
Yeah. The reason we're sharing these with you guys is awareness is the #1 key to fixing or solving anything, right? You have to be aware of what's going on or what the problem is. And since we're talking about marriage here, it's safe to say that statistically speaking, there are a lot of marriages out there that are in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Or on its way to troubled waters. And this is normal, you guys. This is part of being in a relationship. This is part of being married. Especially if you live in North America, you have an added element of challenge in being married. That's just what the stats show. Let's dive into it and get into these signs.
10 signs that you know that your marriage is probably in some trouble. Number 1, there's a lack of true emotional connection. This is very important with your partner, to be emotionally connected. When you start to notice that you're becoming very disconnected, or your partner, or maybe both of you, that is really a sign that there's some trouble brewing and you need to figure out a way to re-spark that connection. And I would say that's going to be something that's normal at some point in any marriage. There's going to be some withdrawal on one, the other, or both sides. Life can be overwhelming, but becoming aware of it, just like Sandra was talking about, is absolutely key.
I think some of the signs may be like obvious signs as far as no emotional connection. Just ignoring each other in the home, especially when it comes to important topics or subjects that you need to discuss or problems that you need to work through. Maybe there's just no emotional connection. You're ignoring each other. You're ignoring the subject or the topic. You're avoiding each other in a marriage. I mean, that's definitely not the way to go, because any problem that you want to solve in marriage, you got to come together.
Yeah.
You got to work together. Remember, guys, a marriage, there's 2 parties involved. And both need to be on the same page and work together to resolve things. And there will be a lot of problems and issues in a marriage. It's just life, right? With different things. Because you got to be able to connect emotionally.
Definitely. And sometimes that's not always easy. It's uncomfortable, but it's essential.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Number 2, communication breakdown.
Uh-oh.
And if you've watched a lot of our tips videos, one of the things you hear us talk about all the time, and something we work on and talk about all the time, is better communication. We have to communicate more, not avoiding that. So you can see how emotionally disconnected would lead to also a communication breakdown, which just creates more distance between the two people in that marriage.
Yeah, communication is definitely the king and the queen of a relationship. Everything starts there, you guys. We found that the people that have the most fulfilling, great relationship, they're able to communicate with each other. They have such a high level of communication and high level of understanding, high level of consciousness between them, that they're able to flow through problems and communicate and work things out. People that don't have great communication skills, they struggle a lot. They suffer a lot in relationship. They get really emotionally worked up. When you're emotionally worked up, you can't communicate, right? There's a sense of being calm. There's a sense of, being still. So that's an important thing that I wanted to touch on too, for sure.
A third sign that your marriage might be in trouble is if you find there's a lot of aggressive, confrontational communication or just behavior in general. The person that you're married to, you don't really want to be aggressive with this person, because what that means is you're fighting the person who should have your back and who you should have their back. So when you're aggressive with that person, it is only going to push them further. Now, it's not to say we're not human beings, okay? We get upset, we get angry, we get sad, we get frustrated, we have different emotions, and it's okay to communicate those things. But when you become repeatedly aggressive in your language and in your behavior, you're really putting your marriage into some serious problems.
Number 4.
Okay, here we go. Number 4, loss in physical appeal. So if you find that you're just not finding your partner attractive, or you're not feeling attractive, and you guys aren't having that physical attraction, that is a sign that there's a lot more going on. And now, bodies change, right? I'm not the same 18-year-old that you met me at. I've had 3 kids. We've gone through all sorts of things. His body has changed. It doesn't mean that you have to stay and look exactly like you did the day you met, but there has to continuously be some type of physical connection there. And you have to appreciate that with one another.
I think it's really appreciating what you have, right? The grass isn't always greener on the other side. It may seem green, but a lot of time it's fake. So you can lose your physical appeal or the desire of your partner after some times, right? Because you just become really used to the way they look, and you just become complacent in that way of looking at them. But you just have to continue to find gratitude and appreciate your partner. You still look beautiful, by the way.
Thank you. You still look juicy.
Thank you.
Now, I think that we should also mention here, this isn't on here, but I think it's something that we practice and we believe in. Taking care of myself is honoring my husband as well. Like, him taking care of himself is honoring me as well. Just because we're married doesn't mean, oh, I got him, he's hooked, now I can just, and like, who cares? Right. I still take care of myself to feel good for me, but also because I want my husband to feel good about his wife. He takes incredible care of himself, as y'all can see, but part of him doing that is, yes, for his own well-being, his own mental health, but it's also because he cares about showing up as a beautiful, strong, handsome man for me.
I also want to look good without clothes on. That's a goal. That's a motivation.
Now, this isn't that kind of channel, okay?
But yeah, no, seriously though, guys, that's if you're not finding each other physically attractive, you're headed down troubled waters, and you have to be aware of that and start turning that boat. Because what's the point of being with someone for the rest of your life, or for however long you plan to be with them? What's the point of being with them and not finding them attractive physically, right? Because it's such an important part of a relationship, right? Physical attractiveness. Appreciate them, love them for who they are and how they're changing, and water your own grass.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 5.
5.
You don't trust your partner, or your partner isn't trusting you. That is definitely one of the foundational pieces of a lasting marriage, is being able to trust your partner. So if you just don't feel like you can trust them and they don't feel like they can trust you, that doesn't mean it's broken forever, but it means it needs some serious attention. And I think we've both seen like examples where sometimes the mistrust is irrational. Like sometimes someone just doesn't trust someone and they haven't even given them any reasons not to, but they just have their own trust issues that they need to work on.
See, that's just insecurity.
That's just insecurity.
Yeah.
So if one or both members are just insecure and they're bringing that into the mix and it's creating trust issues, it's going to become really frustrating and you're just not going to feel relaxed ever. Sanj went to Thailand on a bachelor party with his cousin from Australia for like over 10 days. I was more than pregnant back in San Diego. And you know what? I didn't sweat for a second because I totally trust him. If I would have not trusted him, I would have been up every night worrying about where he was or who he was talking to. I just can't even imagine being in that type of a relationship.
I also went on a lot of other trips without you during our relationship.
Yeah.
Some places, Vegas, Los Angeles, Thailand, Belize, Phoenix. I mean, I've traveled a lot for events and some other things throughout our relationship. And, you know, that element of trust, that self-esteem that you have and the confidence really helped me to kind of mirror that, you know, and to be confident in myself, and be faithful, all of that kind of stuff, right? So
Yeah.
These days, a big sign of trust is, can you leave your mobile phone around your partner and not worry that they're going to get in and find something?
Yeah.
Can you just openly leave your phone in your house and not worry that your partner is going to go through it? Here's the truth. Most people, they cuddle and hold on to their phone because there's a lot of stuff going on in their phone that they don't want their spouse or the significant other to see, right? Now that is definitely there's no element of trust there, you know? So right there is a big sign. Now for us, it's completely different. We share
we have like shared photos, like shared everything,
shared apps,
but
and
shared contacts.
you know, I never had to worry in 18 years about my smartphone being anywhere in the house or being by her. In fact, she goes into my phone a lot to like do things for me or check things, and I feel completely secure, completely confident because, hey, you know what? I'm intentional about that on my end. I know she is too, and I don't want to cause anything to put myself or her in a tough predicament, in a predicament where it's going to start chipping away at the trust that we have built over the 18 years, right? Little things like that could start shaking your trust.
Trust takes a lifetime to build and just a moment to break. And so what about those couples? Like what about some couples that maybe someone has made a mistake and there has been trust broken? That marriage is in a really rough spot. And we've had friends where we've seen that there's been infidelity or there's been some type of trust that's been broken, and we've seen them come back through it, which is the coolest thing to see. Yeah. And it was really, really hard on them. It's hard for the person that breaks the trust. It's hard for the person the trust is broken, but both members have to agree. The ultimate goal of staying together and working through it is more important than your pride and then your sorrow or whatever you have wrapped around that. And so finding some type of path that you're going to work through that, you're going to forgive and you're going to forget and you're going to move forward, because you can't decide to stay with someone if they broke your trust and work through it and then bring it up all the time and keep throwing it in their face. So if the trust has been broken, you have to find a way to rebuild it if you're going to stay together.
Good one.
Number 6, your marriage is in trouble if you're fantasizing about other people.
Oh my God.
I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. But if you are literally wishing and pretending that your spouse was an entirely different person, especially someone specific, you're in some hot water.
Yeah.
Because they're not that person. They're who you chose and they're who you're supposed to build this life with. So if you find yourself constantly fantasizing about someone else, you either have to figure out ways to really fall back in love with your spouse. Maybe you need to draw some boundaries around whoever you're fantasizing about. You know, maybe you have a friend of the opposite sex and you think that you can handle that and that's okay. And actually you can't. Like you shouldn't have a bunch of friends of the opposite sex when you're married. I'm just going to put it out. I don't have a bunch of guy friends that I would go like have dinner with or have lunch with. Like that would be the weirdest thing. We have mutual friends. Sandra has guy friends that, I'm friendly with when they come and hang out or we cook food. It doesn't mean I don't talk to men, but you have to be aware, why are you doing that? What boundaries have you started to loosen where you've let someone in so much that you're starting to fantasize that your partner was them? That your partner was them. Yes, that's right. I said that right.
Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, if you're in a committed relationship and your thought process and your fantasies are going outside of your relationship, that's a huge red flag for you, because there's some things that you have to take responsibility for example, how you think. So this is a part of you thinking, and so it's learning to manage. If your mind does go that way, or if you see yourself fantasizing, just stop yourself. Just remind yourself, hey, I'm going down. If you want to save your marriage and if you value your marriage, which you should, providing that it's healthy, then you have an obligation to manage your thought process as far as where your thinking goes. Here's what happened, guys. Your actions follow your thinking. So be mindful where your thought process and your thinking is going, because eventually you may end up in that situation, and by the time you know it, you're in deep waters. You may be in bigger trouble. Just be mindful of your thoughts when you're in a committed relationship.
Absolutely. Number 7, if you are not supporting one another anymore and you just have totally different goals. Now this is kind of dangerous, because being in a marriage means building a life together. It means moving in one direction together. And it's totally okay to have different goals. Sometimes maybe a husband has a certain business, or a wife has a certain physical goal, or that's very healthy to have separate goals. But you do need to be moving in the same direction, and you need to be supporting one another with your goals, right?
Yeah.
So even, for example, when I started going to the gym again, we moved to this new neighborhood, there was a gym close by, and I said, hey, I really want to get a routine of going to the gym again. That was my goal. That wasn't his goal. It's fine. He's going to the gym plenty. But I needed his support. I needed him to, watch the kids when I went, and, he helped me go in and get my membership all together, and just all the little pieces. I needed that support. But if he would have been a different person and been like, that's useless, it's a waste of time, or he said, sure, go do that, but then never had my back to watch the kids so I had the free time to go, it would be really frustrating and hard for me to reach my goals. You don't have to have identical goals, but they definitely do need to be supporting one another on their goals.
Yeah, this is a good one, just like all the other ones. But guys, remember, you're on the same team, right? If you've been on a team, or if you played on a team, sports teams, or whatever teams that you were a part of, business team, maybe a team in your workplace. If you're part of your team, one of your main obligation is to help the other person win. Do things so that you set the other person up for success, right? As a teammate, you're not going to do things to sabotage the other person's success, but you would be surprised that so many people do this in marriage, right? Which is pretty sad, because the number one thing is they don't realize they're on the same team. The fastest, the best, and the greatest way they can get ahead in life is to really support each other with their goals and their ventures and stuff like that, right? This is the biggest support you can have, is your partner's support. But things will turn for you not in the right direction if you are not supporting each other or encouraging each other with each other's goals. So I like that one. That's one of my favorite.
Yeah, it's a good one. Number 8. You can't imagine a future together. Ooh,
wow.
That's a bad one. That's pretty bad, because things have gotten to a place where you're probably, again, fantasizing about getting out, fantasizing about a different life. I would say if the two of you really do want to make it work and you want to try and get this together, you need to go carve out some time, the two of you, maybe get a pen and paper and really talk about what you want. What does the future look like? What does your ideal future look like? And even if the two of yours is sort of different and a little bit individual, what would a shared, exciting future look like? And one thing we've been doing for years is on New Year's Eve, we make vision boards together. Sometimes we each make one, sometimes we make a shared one, but there is always a shared vision on where are we going? as a couple, because otherwise it gets stale. I mean, 18 years, this has not been 18 rinse and repeat years. I mean, they have been very different years, but we've always kind of had this idea of where we're moving. So that's really important.
You know, my personal story is whenever I imagine, visualize, dream of my future, it always includes you in some way, form, or shape, right? Because I see a future with my wife. If you're not seeing your partner in your future as you're having imagination, thoughts, and plans, then your marriage may be headed towards troubled waters.
Goes back to your thinking too, right?
Yeah, it goes back to your thinking for sure.
Number 9, you've lost respect for your spouse, or your spouse has lost respect for you. Respect is a very, very important thing. You know, it's kind of woven within communication and trust and those things we talk about. I shared this on a past video, but one of the highest values for a woman in a marriage is to feel safe. And one of the highest values for a man is to feel respected. I was shocked by a stat too, that 70% of divorces that are filed by women. And I think that there is just so much kind of confusion out there on how does a marriage work? How can it work that it actually lasts? The average divorce happens at 7 to 8 years. So it's not making it very far. And a lot of women, I feel like, are confused. How are they supposed to be wives and mothers and work and do all these things? And what's happening is this like really aggressive female is being formed who doesn't respect what men can do and the value that men can bring into the home. And I think showing your spouse respect is just so important. Respecting and appreciating all the different things that they do.
Yeah, I mean, it's an obvious one. If you don't have respect for each other in a relationship, there's just no spark, there's just no sizzle, you know, there's just no sex appeal or anything like that. A lot of the romantic feels comes from, respecting each other, right? Almost like, is it safe to say, like putting each other on a pedestal?
Yeah.
You know, why
not? Wouldn't you?
Why not?
Who else are you going to put on a pedestal if you're not putting your husband or your wife?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
your friends
or your coworkers or your boss, of course not.
Exactly. Another thing that I see sometimes that is just so disrespectful and people don't realize they're doing it is criticizing your spouse in front of other people. Like being at like a double date or something, and I don't know, I can't even think of an example, right? But you know what I'm talking about. Someone saying, like me openly criticizing him in front of other people is so disrespectful. And it would be exact same. Like if I was hanging out with all the dance moms and blah, 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 and he came up and started ripping me a new one or disrespecting me, even if it's something we need to communicate about, but he doesn't have the respect to pull me aside and do it in a private setting, that would be awful. That is like, we haven't even talked about that rule, but that's just like unspoken, like don't do that. So if you're just opening your mouth and criticizing your spouse in front of your parents, your family, your friends, their friends, check yourself. Because it's disrespectful and it's absolutely cutting away at your marriage. We're here with the last one, number 10. If you are dreading alone time with your partner, then your marriage is in trouble.
Oh no.
You should look forward to time with your partner, right? We sometimes can't wait. We love our kids, but for them to go to sleep so that we can have some quiet time, some alone time together so we can step outside by the pool and just relax and connect. And if you're dreading it, it means that there is just some serious foundational stuff that you don't like about them right now, or that they're not maybe respecting you or honoring about you. And you guys need to take some time to really get to the root of that, because you should enjoy time together.
I think that's a big one, especially in the Western world, because, typically a husband and a wife, if they're both working or if they both have careers, they attend to their careers most of the day and come home, have to do chores, have to do the personal things, whatever, working out, shopping, making food, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's a really big struggle for couples in the Western world to have time together.
Yeah.
It's very rare. So you have to force it in, you have to plan it. You have to talk about it, and I think it is challenging for us sometimes too, but we do love alone times because that's when we get to talk and visualize and even talk about our problems sometimes, and solutions and dream build. All that kind of stuff comes from having alone time. And alone time is a great time to invest in your relationship, because what's happening when you're spending alone time together, you're getting to know each other, you're learning together, you're growing together, you're doing things together. So it creates more of a closer bond when you're spending alone time. We can easily get busy every day with our work and family and all that kind of stuff, and forget to make time for ourselves. Like I said, I think that's a very common problem in a lot of relationships. So if this sounds familiar to you, this is an area you definitely want to start working on, is intentionally making alone time, and not making alone time and sitting on the phone, looking at the phone.
And alone time is not sitting and watching a movie.
Not watching Netflix. It's actually sitting down and doing something fun, or communicating, talking, those type of stuff. Actually doing some activity that involves both of you to be together and to be present.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great last point to finish off with.
If you aren't getting alone time and you guys aren't spending time together, then make it a priority. Put it on the calendar. And even if the first couple times it's like it doesn't go as well because you're just not used to it anymore, keep going. And you guys will crack the code, and you'll start to enjoy each other again. Thank you guys for watching this. Hey, again, if any of these 10 hit you and you thought, oh my God, this is us, it doesn't mean things are over. We are praying for you guys. We're rooting for you. We believe in the magic of staying with someone long-term and building a really beautiful family together. So just become aware. Pick that, and maybe you could watch this video with your spouse and you guys can get on the same page and you can work through it, and you can take yourself out of those rough waters and into a season of smooth sailing for your marriage.
And if you stayed till this long in the video, I want to thank you guys for your time and helping us come into your life and your living room or wherever you're watching this from. Hit the subscribe button and like this video to help us go into more people's feed and to be able to help more people with this information. So thank you guys for watching. See you on the next video. And Sanj and Chels signing off. Bye.